the Power of X podcast, where we stop guessing and start testing. We want to unlock what your biology is capable of. And today we are here with Joe Laxton, Jim Wilterdink, and Megan Corson. So let's just do some introductions. Jim, you founded the X Factor Labs supplement and testing company. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how we got here today.
Yeah, you bet. So in short order, grew up training really, really hard. I was a competitive roller speed skater, had a lot of success at it, and it launched me into a very serious world of competition, nutrition, exercise, training. I spent many summers out at the Olympic Training Center. So I'm very familiar with competitive training. Never had an issue with health or weight loss per se. I am a financial advisor of almost 25 years, so I am a data planner guy. Growing up, I was always interested in heart rate training, things like that. And here recently, about 3 years ago, I was trying to find some supplements to help my younger son with long-term endurance fatigue and dehydration during some of his racing, and stumbled on a supplement that I use today every day. And miraculously, to some degree, I noticed a lot of differences. And previously, in my competition days, I took a lot of vitamins and supplements just because everybody else did. Didn't really notice any difference. And this one really made it an impact. But then it drove me down the rabbit hole. I was in touch with a local doctor here, and we started talking about blood work and DNA, and that led to really some thought-provoking questions of what makes different people respond differently to different training, different diets, different supplements. And so it opened up Pandora's box, and with my research nature in planning, it sent me down that path. And so what I was able to do is put together a program. And then as I met and talked with trainers, I realized that this is really more cutting edge of an approach that we could and should bring to Main Street. So that's how X Factor Labs came to be.
Yeah. So you've said before that, the goal of X Factor Labs is you want to change a million lives. So when you say that we're here to change a million lives, what does that actually mean to you beyond the number?
Well, so maybe I'll tell you a story briefly. In my financial planning career, I have a lot of clients that have a lot of money. And one particular client, great guy, called me one day and he asked me, he said, Jim, I need you to come out to the house. Oh, sure. What's going on? How can I help? He said, well, I'm just back from the doctor. I've got 2 weeks to live, and I need you to go through these results with my wife through his finances. And it floored me. And what that should speak loudly to everybody is if you don't have your health, it doesn't matter how much money, what kind of car you drive, nothing else matters if you don't have your health. And as I started this company, it really hit me that, I do what I do because I like helping people. I like riding dirt bikes, and I love teaching people how to ride dirt bikes. And I love hiking, and I love taking people with us and sharing those experiences. And if you don't have your health, so many of the things that get to enjoy, I couldn't do. And so as I thought about the mission and the vision, I'm a big believer, if you don't have a really, really big vision, then your impact will be small. And I'm also a believer that God lays things on your heart, and sometimes we're intimidated by it. And I just couldn't shake the thought of trying to impact and change a million people's lives for the better. And I ran it by a friend of mine in the business, in the fitness business, and she said, "Oh, that's a lot of people." And at that point, something about me, the bigger the challenge, the more I want to do it. And that set it in stone is that has to be the mission for this effort.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So, Mr. Joe Laxton, uh,
Yes.
yeah, tell us a little bit about you and your background and um, what problem in the health and fitness industry frustrated you enough to want to take part in building X Factor Labs and the BioCode method.
Yeah. So I grew up an athlete, just like a lot of, a lot of people, probably average, probably maybe a little above average. I don't know. Depends on who you ask. And, later on, got out of athletics, pretty competitive, went into business. I actually kind of went the route that Jim went. I did go into financial planning, got into insurance sales, investments, did that for 14 years. During that time frame, looking at life insurance, I noticed there was a lot of younger couples that were getting denied or rated based on their health. And I'm like, man, this guy's like 30 years old and he just got denied because of whatever underlying condition or, what shocked me as such a young age. And, I noted, I just noticed people, their weight, their this, it was affecting their premiums during that time frame. I was a hobby lifter, was always fascinated with bodybuilding. I think a lot of, young men were. And, I finally ended up wanting to compete because I did take the gym pretty serious. And in my 30s, I got into competing. Did very well with it. Did some national shows, won a bunch of regional shows. And during that time frame, I actually got out of that business. I purchased the gym, got into personal training, got into online coaching, got into nutritional coaching, stuff I always studied all through my 20s and 30s. Actually turned 46 today, so I'm not above birthday cards and gifts or anything if any listener wants to send them. But and I was able to take kind of that competitive drive that I always had in everything. I mean, I'm always the same person as I was when I was 16. I'm a little bigger and I got less hair, but I was able to really impact a lot of the Midwest in all reality. I was given quite a bit of coaching accolades. I had a very successful coaching business, but like anything, I always said that question, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be more. There's got to be something I'm missing because, at the end of the day, yeah, I want success, but at the same time, it's, I was told long, long ago, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. And at the end of the day, people want to lose weight. They want to be healthy. They want everything Jim talked about. But at the end of the day, there's just nobody there holding those goals in front of them. There's nobody there coaching, holding their hand. So I just said, this is a style of business that I'm going to run. But at the end of the day, I still knew there was something missing, right? I always wanted to set myself apart from what other coaches and other trainers were doing. And I thought I did. And now I know I wasn't based on what I know now. And at this point, it's just, yeah, it really is buying into that vision. First time I met Jim, he talked about, helping 1 million people. And me, I'm like, that's exactly what I need to be a part of, something just like that. Because again, I want as much impact as possible. And if there's something I can be a part of, and I know when you say 1 million people, yeah, nobody can do that alone.
Yeah, 100%. Awesome. Megan, tell us a little bit about your health and wellness fitness background and um, what made you want to join X Factor Labs mission to help 1 million lives? Mute. You're on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Honestly, so I didn't grow up as the athlete or anything like that. I went to college and I was trying to find my identity, I guess, per se, is the new chapter of life. And I started working at a gym. And there was something about it that I just fell in love with. And when I started lifting and working out, at first I started with group fitness classes and then I'd see people, but everybody's bodies that I saw really change were like lifting the heavier weights. And so I started, and I just started by like using an oxygen magazine and going through and doing the workouts, and I started seeing my body transform. But what came with that was the confidence. And as I get older, now I'm in my 40s versus in my 20s, and I have been personal training now for over 20 years because it changed the trajectory of my life. I changed my major. I went into health promotion, exercise science. I went down the rabbit hole of wanting to learn, learn, learn. I have ADHD, so if it's something that I'm interested in, I hyper focus. And, throughout all the years, you try different things. There's many fads and trends that come and go. I mean, I have put myself personally through the ringer. I mean, I tried CrossFit, I've done paleo, I've tried keto. I have tried every single fad. And then, I've developed my opinion on things. But with personal training, especially women, and as we age, things just quit working. And then I see people go to all these quick fixes, and I know what it's doing. And then I've also seen, this is where I'm a little different. I've seen so many things getting thrown out by very educated people who know that they're not giving somebody, like they're giving them a quick fix, which is going to benefit them and they're going to make money off of it. But and then in the end, I had I train mostly women, but I'd have people come to me defeated, and I would hear like their pains, because it is really hard when you try to do the perfect plan and you follow it and then you fail. And then all of a sudden, well, it worked for other people. And I'm like, no, like your plan failed you. And even that person who prescribed it, they knew that you were going to gain back more, because you always end up gaining back more weight typically. And so, it was Joe who reached out to me with this testing. And I love science. And I mean, you don't have a lot of opinion when it's like somebody's like blood work showing them or what their DNA is, what they're deficient in, what their food sensitivity is. So when I could apply all these tests to the clients, and then, we formulate a plan of workouts that work for them, and they're eating foods that their body, like not only that their body's going to see results from, but they need those nutrients, those vitamins, those minerals. And so once I started doing, like with X Factor Labs and with all the testing, at the end of it, people they're not just getting skinnier or more fit, they're getting healthier. And as Jim said before, you could have everything in the world, but if you don't have your health, like what do you really have? And I unexpectedly lost my father, and I want to be around. I want to not just do I want to be around, I want to be around and be able to do all these activities like when I have grandchildren someday. And so when I look at what this can mean for people and their health, and honestly, it's their confidence. And when you have confidence in yourself and when you believe in yourself and you feel good, you have energy. I mean, that's what life is all about, right? Like it's all about like being
Absolutely.
healthy and feeling good and being around the ones you love, being able to do the activities that bring you joy. And so for me, this testing allows me to create better programs, nutrition and fitness ones, to get people not just their goals, but like surpass things that they couldn't even imagine would be possible for their life.
Right. Yeah. So this is for Joe and Megan, both of you guys. Before the BioCode method, testing,
Mhm.
tailoring, training, what did coaching usually look like, and where do other programs fall short?
Well, I did what I would consider custom planning, custom coaching. And I think my definition of that was based on what I knew at the time was probably correct, but it was also absolutely incorrect based on what I know now. But at the end of the day, if somebody pretty much followed some plans, yeah, they were going to get results. But it was the times when things would stall out. It was the people that had problems. There were answers that I just didn't have, and I like having the answers just like anybody. But there were just answers that I just didn't have, and it was maybe maybe they weren't following the plan, maybe they weren't compliant, maybe they're lying to me, and maybe they were. But at the end of the day, when I could take testing to the level that we have now, and what I was able to do with my coaching business after having the information, I could really narrow in and finally do the actual customized coaching. Because, when we say people, they all want these different results, or we're assuming everybody wants the same thing. And that's also not the case, right? So we can't truly cater an actual program to somebody to get the results that they want without really truly testing. Because at the end of the day, again, we can get somebody to lose weight, we can get somebody, but are we putting them in a healthier place? And a lot of times it's not. We can go through all the statistics of how many calories somebody needs and how to lose weight. Yeah, I mean, if I told somebody, here, eat 1,000 calories a day and come back to me when things don't work, if they genuinely eat 1,000 calories a day, they're going to lose weight. They're going to start looking better, but are they going to start feeling better? Are they going to be in a healthier state? Was that actually coaching? Right. It's not like I'm giving them information that somebody else couldn't have done. And at the end of the day, it's yes, did somebody make some money doing that? But again, are they in a better place? Are they in a healthier state? Is this something that they can sustain long term? Is this something that, 5 years from now, I can stand behind my coaching and saying I did the right thing? And a lot of times, a lot of coaches can't sit there and say, yeah, I think I did the right thing, because most of their coaching, most of the results are not sustainable long term.
Yeah. Yeah. Jim, walk us through the BioCode method at a high level, and what does test, tailor, train to transform actually mean in practice?
Well, in reality, the test, tailor, train transformation methodology is really what comes first. It's a different philosophy, it's a different approach, and that's in part the name of the company. It's what's your X factor. Well, if I ask people that, they may or may not know. They might have a pretty good idea, but testing, whether it be DNA, whether it be cellular nutrient or food sensitivity or their methylation process, by testing, we can really quickly understand what that person needs from a nutrition standpoint, but also from an exercise standpoint. I tell the story all the time of, you all know somebody growing up who was like really fast, right? And you also probably knew somebody who was really strong or could run all day long, right? Well, those are biological influences that we recognize, but we didn't really fully understand and attribute. It was just kind of like, oh, well, that's their gift. That's their, whatever. Well, now through testing, we can really understand at a scientific level your muscle fiber type and your body's predisposition to nutrients. So by testing, the coaches that we use, I am not a coach, but the coaches that we're assembling can take that data and design a program for their client, what kind of exercise they should do, what kind of nutrition they should follow, that would really tailor their programming to get through that training program, to get to that transformation that everybody so desperately wants. And so the test, tailor, train transformation is really a methodology, a philosophy that we came up with as I kind of step back. So again, I'm the data, I'm the finance guy, and I'm a planner, and I like to create strategies. And so as I looked at this and talked to more and more trainers and coaches, I realized that everybody, no offense, everybody that was saying, I do custom meal plans and I do custom training programs, they're really utilizing their experience and guessing at what's going to be best for their clients. They
Right.
don't really know. And so what I did was I took all of this data that I was compiling, all of these tests, and reading all these reports about nutrigenomics and epigenetics, and really a deep dive. And what I developed was a program that we call BioCode. And it's a program that you can do a la carte with a coach, or it's a full-fledged packaged program that goes on for 12 weeks and you follow along. So if somebody wants a really structured program, a coach wants something that they can plug and play into their business, it's that, or the toolbox, if you will, that the expert coach can utilize to diagnose and tailor their programming to their clients.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Joe, as a coach and gym owner, what changed in your coaching once you stopped guessing and started testing?
Yeah, well, like anything, I did it on my own first, like for myself.
Mhm.
And I had been testing my own protocol since I started lifting in my early 20s. So through trial and error, I found out what worked, what didn't work. And it took me a long time to kind of figure it out. And after I got my own results with like DNA testing, it confirmed pretty much what I'd taken 25 years to figure out. So first off, that's pretty cool. Second off, I wish I'd have just done this 25 years ago and saved a lot of frustration, so that was eye-opening, because at the end of the day, yes, if I could have figured this out a long time ago, I mean, everybody always says, if I knew then what I know now, life would be different. Yeah, if I knew then what I know now, life definitely would have been different. There'd have been a lot less frustration. Thousands and thousands of dollars I spent on programs and supplements and all that stuff, I'd have probably wasted on something else, but at least it would have been, not on what probably frustrated me. It frustrated me so much that people were getting and I was always slow to get results. So when I train people, they're like, oh, somebody at the gas station noticed I'd been losing weight, and they've been at it for 2 weeks. It took like 9 months for the first person to ever even realize I was even lifting, because I was so small. Right. So like, people talk about slow results. I'm like, nobody got slower results than me. But again, if I could have gone back in time and known this stuff, I would have changed what I did. But I also know that I probably needed somebody to help me along the way. Jim's talking about nutrigenomics and all this type of stuff. And a lot of listeners might be thinking, I don't know what the heck any of that stuff is. One of the things that Steve Jobs did with Apple that made things so great for our planet was he took a very, very complicated thing and made it very, very simple. And that's kind of where we come in, where people are thinking, man, nutrigenomics and epigenetics and methylation, all this type of stuff, and thinking this might be something very, very complicated. But it's like, no, that's where coaching comes in, right? Just like a doctor, right? I mean, somebody goes to places for a complicated thing and getting a coach. And that's what I wanted to do as a coach. I wanted to take a very, very complicated thing and help simplify it to, okay, what can you do on a daily basis to make this work? Even if I'd have done the test 25 years ago, would I have been able to even understand them? In my pea brain, there probably wouldn't have at the time. And that's where, when I dove into it for myself, and I'm like, this, as much as I know now, and the information that I saw with my own information, I'm thinking I could absolutely change the way people look at diet, fitness, nutrition, and health. I mean, I knew I could absolutely do it. And looking at our system, talking with Jim, thinking of the coaches that I know, for instance, like Megan, I'm like, we could absolutely make a huge impact when we know all this information now. Because again, let's face it, people don't want to waste their time, money, and energy. Two biggest commodities out there are time and money. Where do you spend your time? Where do you spend your money? I'll tell you where your priorities are.
Yep.
And if people are going to go out there and blow all their money on supplements that don't even work, programs that aren't even tailored towards their, people are doing it all the time. And right now in today's world, I think it's more prevalent because people are becoming a lot more aware of this. Mm-hmm. The timing of this can't be any better. And I really looked at it like, I can really help. And I have. It has been everything I thought was going to happen is absolutely happening. People are really getting those big aha moments. It's like the curtains are being pulled away in areas of their life that they've been wondering about, frustrated about, thinking about, right, just through testing. Because again, logically, that just makes sense. I mean, it's, hey, I'm going to work out. What should I do? I have no idea. Hey, I need to start taking supplements. What should I do? I have no idea. Hey, I got to start a diet. What should I do? I have no idea. But if you think you're just going to guess your way through this, you're going to be frustrated. And reason why I say I have no idea is because if I give you information without knowing where your test and where your genetics and your biology line up to these tests that will just tell you the answer, I would be lying to somebody at best. Now it's, I don't have to guess with this stuff. Well, what should I supplement with? Well, let's run a test. Well, based on your results, this is exactly what you need to be supplementing with. Well,
Right.
how should I eat? Well, based on your results, this is exactly how you should be eating.
Hmm.
I don't know, Joe. If I Well, here's what your genetics say, right? Like, I haven't had any skeptics. I haven't had it because how can they deny their own biology?
Right. Yeah. What do you think is the most common aha moment that clients have when they see their DNA or their cellular data for like the first time?
Everybody has a pain point. Everybody has something that they felt stuck with, and that's different for everybody. And usually we start going through these because I know what their problems are. I know, because I've asked, um, not because I magically just know. They inform me and tell me, but usually we identify some of the big ones right away. And it's just that, oh, that, it's like this whole, you know again, it is that aha moment, like that makes total sense. When I did this and this is why it failed. And they're just like, man, I'm so glad that roadblock is gone now. And I mean, let's face it, following a plan is hard regardless. Even if it's the right plan, it's still hard to follow. But now there's a newfound excitement when they know. They're like, man, this is the actual real true GPS. Like, this is exactly what I need to do. So there's another level of excitement, which increases compliance. Increased compliance leads to, faster results or desired goal outcome. So then all of a sudden now they're getting the results a little bit quicker than they would have been. And then that's just a big snowball effect of people getting the results that they want.
Yeah. Megan, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Okay.
How does the BioCode method, testing, tailoring,
Mhm.
training, how does that change the relationship between the coach and the client compared to maybe traditional programs or even group fitness programs?
Oh my gosh. So when they do all the different tests and they see their data, and then when you're walking through, like, okay, because of this test, this is why we're going to do this, it just gives them so much confidence, like, like in the plan and in you. And the fact that, like, you want to save them actually time and money. So sometimes people up front might be nervous about like testing, but I'm like, you came to me because you have a goal, and everyone who's come to me, I'm not their first. I mean, like they've tried so many different things because this is something that they've struggled with. So when they see the data, and then when you're like, okay, because of this, you're going to work out 3 times a week, just focus on those workouts because we see with your foods of what you can eat. You know what? Like beef is not good for you. And they're like, really? Like that's what I've ate forever. And I'm like, yeah, you might have developed your own food sensitivity and you've tried
Yep.
to do everything right. But because you've like ate the same thing, your body started like having inflammation. And they're like, oh my gosh, like that makes sense. And so you build like a rapport, you take all away like trial and error. It doesn't just get to be expensive. Like many people get so defeated in it. So when you apply like all of the data that you take away from these tests, they are actually excited because now they can eliminate things that might be causing inflammation in their body. They're doing a workout. Like it kind of gives them a sense of belief. I mean, it makes them believe in your service and they get results. They feel good and they've saved so much time.
Yeah.
And it just takes all of the frustration. So, like doing this, my clients love me. Like, I mean, I always think I have a fun personality and I've always tried to make it fun. But like now, I'm not consuming their life. Like, it's not like they have all these frustrations, like, okay, well, I'm doing this, and then it's not working. And then all of a sudden, that's when people lose momentum with their clients. You lose momentum because of frustration. But as Joe did say, like, yes, like you might still need a meal prep, you might need to do that stuff, but it's more fun when you're like, ooh, well, I know like these foods are going to work for me, and you know it's going to work. It's belief, and they have hope, and that brings excitement, and then all together they're just like, where have you been my whole life? I'm like, I know.
She's not lying.
I think a big part that I noticed is it removes a lot of the excuses from both the client and the coaches is if you're not seeing results, like, can you say that you followed this program to a T for the last, 6 months? And, if you
Scorecard.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely the scorecard. Speak on that a little bit.
Sorry. No, I mean, so I'm competitive, right? And um, everything I do is goes through the lens of how does it stack up? And one of the things, I'm a very type A person. I've had coaches over the years for given sports, but the exercise, weight loss, I've never entertained that because when I make up my mind, I just do it. I know that that is not normal, right? And so as I developed this program, I started thinking about tools and resources that coaches as well as clients can use to measure their progress and adhere. Everything I read, adherence is one of the biggest obstacles, both in nutrition and exercise. Well, so what we did was I put together a scorecard that covers the primary pillars of wellness, as I'd like to say, and then I took that and I created a score, a rubric, if you will, or a metric, so that if you scored so many points per day and so many points per week, and you did that for the 12-week program, that your success or likely outcome of success was, categorized in four buckets: highly likely, likely, needs improvement, or needs major adjustment. And so by having that scorecard in our app that we've developed, the client can assess their progress and their adherence every single day. It's accountability to themselves, but it also is a tool that the coaches can use to help coach them, not chastise them, not ridicule them, not belittle them, but actually coach them. Because when we figure out where somebody's struggling, it's an opportunity for the coach to come alongside of them and say, I see that, your nutrition score is down, right? What's the challenge? What's the hang up there? And let's talk about it. Let's figure out some methods, some practices, some things that you can do. Now, in that doing this, the BioCode program for 12 weeks, you will have developed, if you adhere to your scorecard and the program in general, after 12 weeks, you will have built sufficient habit that you then have changed your day-to-day regular routine and environment. And once we do that, now we can have long-lasting impact.
Yeah, I think accountability and personal responsibility is it's
It's
paramount.
paramount. Yeah. Coaches can't do the lift for you. They can't eat for you. They can bring you there, right? It's to lead the horse to water. You can't make a drink. This is just a way that we can set up and really try and give everybody the tools and map it out for them, right? It's the strategy, it's the plan.
Yeah. What
Absolutely.
what conflicting advice or fads out there today um, are we up against?
So this is where I hear all the time. Like most of my day is spent like debunking videos people send me. you know, Here's a video I saw on Instagram. What do you think? This is what this one person said. What do you think? And most of them come from an aspect of if you're training this way, you're doing it wrong. If you're not doing this, it's like this is the way to eat. This is the way to train. This is the best way to do X. And it's just yes, if we're assuming we are all absolutely equal, we are all built exactly the same. yeah, you could make claims like that. And I think that is probably one of the biggest things that we're up against is social media and influencers and so-called experts. And that again, maybe they're 80% truth,
Mhm.
but it's always those little things in the weeds that again, when you say something like, here's how everybody should diet, this is the best diet, nobody should eat such and such, that's a big one. um, everybody has an opinion now, and just because they might have followers, just because they're an author, just because whatever, it doesn't mean necessarily that that's going to be the best thing for them. So to where what that leads is tons and tons of frustration, because they might try it because, well, this person did it and they got results. Clearly this person did whatever this book said and they got results, but at the same time, clearly they're not the same people. And we've all been guilty of it. I've done it. I mean, I did it in my own business with my own training. I was a bodybuilder, so I followed so and so because when I trained like so and so, I got results. Well, it probably just meant mine and so and so's genetics were similar, and somebody else did this and I tried that, but it didn't work. So therefore that person was wrong. This person was right. So then I take that bias into my own business, and we all do it. But so I'm like I don't know, maybe I'm a recovering know-it-all, possibly. Um, Stop laughing, Megan, especially. Megan knew me from a long time ago. But I think I finally just got to the point where I'm like, look, just because somebody says it, just because people get results, just because this author, just because they've got a million followers, it does not necessarily mean they're right for everybody. Again, I mean, Jim always says, right? I mean, a broken clock is right sometimes, right? There are, I mean, you can absolutely guess this perfectly sometimes, but I work with people. I'm the type of person that says, I don't want to guess with this stuff, you know. And for the most part, when we look at what our competition is, and it's not, maybe it's opposition versus competition, there is a difference. The opposition out there is truly saying, this is why you're broke, you need to be fixed. And matter of fact, I have the exact solution and it's in this little bottle, and it just, it's in, and I think intuitively 9 out of 10 people know it's probably BS and it's not going to work. But in the back of their mind, they're thinking, but what if it's only $75? It might work. They are so willing to just toss out $75, $150, whatever, two payments of $65.99. You know, they're so willing to do that, still probably knowing it's not even going to work. But what if it will? And then all of a sudden you do that year after year after year, and you're like, look, you spent $5,000 on something that, what if it does work? Versus saying, look, stop the insanity, run a test, get all these answers figured out, understand your genetics, and just run the plan that your body is designed to run. I mean, it makes so much logical sense at this point. And that's what I like. I mean, I like to think I'm a logical person. I'm probably far from, but I know when it comes down to business, when it emotionally makes sense and it logically just absolutely speaks to each individual, it's just like, this is going to be the future of the entire industry.
Yeah.
It is.
Agreed.
If you were to fast forward a few years, what would success look like for our mission?
My success would be this, where the next one of my clients who gets a video from their friend, they reply and say, I don't know what any of this means unless it, matches up with my DNA. If you want to try it, go for it. But where we have enough people that sit and say, well, this doesn't line up with my genetics, or it does line up with my genetics. This does line up with my plan, where, right, they're no longer looking through the lens of, I hope it works. They're looking through the lens of, my genetics proves that this will work for me.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Jim, as for X Factor Labs as a whole, like if we were to fast forward a few years, what do you think success of the company and our mission to help transform a million lives, what do you think that looks like?
Well, it's a process, right? And we've got to help each client, each coach one at a time. But to get to a million, I think, if I were to fast forward a couple years, we've got 500 coaches. If we fast forward a little bit further, we're at 700 coaches, and then we're at 1,000 coaches. And that is how this will scale to truly impact and help 1 million people, is by growing that. Now, listen, I'm kind of the research guy, and I'm constantly looking at what we're doing. And we sell supplements, we sell vitamins. They are not right for everybody. They are not formulated right for everybody, but they are the broad base, group of vitamins that everybody is, not everybody, but most people are deficient in. And so that's kind of our protocol to get started. But you look at the recent news, and the perspective on the food pyramid, all the way, from a healthy food pyramid to even GLP-1 users need more protein, right? One of the most researched supplements out there is creatine monohydrate. Um, when you engage in exercise, vigorous exercise, you sweat. We have a hydration formula that is formulated to replace that. So the success to me is getting people to understand and embrace, we are not trying to push anything down anybody's throat outside of true wellness that is tailored to them through our testing and methodology. So
Right.
success down the road is hitting that 1 million people, but it's helping each one at a time.
Yep. And
Yeah.
if you want to go far, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think, um, I think also another thing worth mentioning is also the custom supplements. Is not only do we have the X Factor Labs line of supplements, but the custom supplements formulated from the test results, um, that is tailored to the client.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if somebody asked me which supplement should I take, I'd say the one that has your name on it.
Mhm.
I mean, if it's if your name's not Bob, don't take Bob's pack. But that's what companies do. They put their name on it, and it's, well, this is for everybody, and it's just not true.
Well, I was just on a webinar last night with Dr. Grabowski from our cell science lab, medical lab testing facility. And his comment was, multivitamins are okay, but everybody's chemistry is different. And so therefore a multivitamin is just kind of a generic shot in the dark, and everybody should not be taking a generic multivitamin. And it just lights me up, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I know one of Megan's clients, is having great success. Maybe Megan, you could talk about that a little bit.
Well, I'm just saying, if you imagine like what goes on with your body if you're deficient in many key things that you need. So for this one particular client, I mean, she's always inflamed. She's having a hard time losing weight, but like she used to be able to put on muscle, and we noticed she was very deficient in leucine. So that was even preventing her from being able to put on muscle how she wanted to. And she had a problem going to the bathroom. She, had depression, anxiety, all of that. And within a matter of being on these, I mean, she started taking them, and within a couple weeks she's like, I'm noticing a difference in being able to go to the bathroom. Like, this is it, just even that, let alone. And then she's like, I am sleeping so much better, I have so much energy. And as being her coach, and I see her in person, so she has like more giddy up in her sessions, she has more, and it's like you kind of just see like she's starting to shine because her body was deficient in so many things. And so it's just all of it is coming together. And many plans, yes, you might like you might lose weight or you might have this, but you're tired and you're all of that. Like, like she feels wonderful and she's getting results and she couldn't be any more happy.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And
Mhm.
that is exactly what we're trying to do. Those are the results, like, gave me goosebumps, right? Because that's exactly what we're after. Is we're not I don't have this axe to grind to sell 1 million bottles of this or that. My goal is to truly just help 1 million people be healthier. And we've just assembled a toolbox of different things, whether it be a program, whether it be a test, or a off the shelf CoQ10, omega 3, or a custom supplement. I mean, there's so many different ways I think we can help, and that's the goal. That's the mission.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
What
I
kind of,
do have to add this really fast.
yeah,
I
go for
mean,
it.
the wonderful thing with BioCode and with X Factor with our system is we have really put our brains together to come up with the perfect. I mean, it gives everybody all of the tools along with the accountability, the engagement. Like, I think that this is one thing that you are helping people on an individual level. Like as Jim, you kind of hit on that. But like we are helping individuals and then word of mouth from that. Like why wouldn't you want to share what is working for you?
Yeah.
And then as a coach, how how good does it feel to be a part of something that isn't just a trend? Because this isn't just a trend. Like this is individual blood work. This is people's individual like genetics. This is so it's like you are a part of like putting something out there that is really going to impact and change lives. And
Mhm.
many times I have to note that it's not just you as the person. Like when you become healthier, you become a better parent, and then you become and that's children need that,
Yeah.
and so it just trickles down, so the effect just isn't personal. You affect other people's lives, down the line, and that's why I think as either a consumer or as a coach, this is one of the best systems I have ever seen, and I'm really proud to be a part of it.
Yeah. I think the ripple effect is
Hmm.
awesome. The just into families and communities and um I know myself just like when I started getting fit and turning away from kind of like the party scene and like other people in my life started seeing me change and then also changing themselves. And so like just from like starting to break away from maybe that culture and starting and getting into this new culture, um, it when you do that, like people tribe up with you and
Absolutely.
see the difference, which is really,
Absolutely.
100%. And Parks, what I mean, hats off to you um, for all the viewers. Parks out of nowhere, never in his life really was a runner, but decided he wanted to run a marathon, put together a little plan with a friend of his and ran the IMT Des Moines Marathon 2024. Ran, I think he said 750 miles in preparation for that thing, which is crazy. And then the best part of that is I think the life change that it brought. But Parks, what was your time?
337. My goal was sub 4, and then when I started getting towards the end of my training, I knew I was going to be able to hit that, and so I'd moved my goal to sub 330, and I didn't quite hit it. So I'm going to have to come
But
do it again.
think about that. I mean, most people like train for years to try and get a sub 4, and you're
Yeah.
getting, 330 on your first try. So my point is what you touched on is the community aspect, and that's one of the things that we've incorporated into this program and are trying to build is that camaraderie, that environment of people going the same direction, right? Listen, in my own journey, this is hard. You let your foot off the gas, you gain some weight, and I just returned from a trip, and so I had a couple weeks. I took a week off and a week down there, and man, I started doing my ab workout, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't hardly do this. I've been doing it for a year, and so the point is it's hard. It's not all easy, and you don't just get back into shape and stay there. It requires maintenance, and that requires the group and the environment of people helping continue. So I think that you touched on something that is maybe something that a lot of people don't consider is you don't need to excommunicate from people of your past, but you definitely need to connect and establish relationships with people who are desiring a similar or same outcome, being healthy, exercise, and active.
Yeah, I heard it said the other day, it's okay to disassociate for a time, and sometimes that's needed. So for somebody that's in AA or like a recovering alcoholic,
Yep.
they can't go, they can't be around people drinking. They can't go to the bar for a while.
Right.
But maybe a couple years later or months, whatever, however long it takes them, maybe you can go to the bar and not have a drink. But initially, for some, it's okay if you need to step out of a relationship to build healthier habits and then you can always come back. You can always, you know, test the waters there, but ultimately if it's not right, then maybe you're
Yeah.
better for it. But
No, I think you're spot on. I think that's what people need to understand. It's not that we're saying that you need to, trim your friend list, right? It's until you build up the discipline and the habits that are going to keep you on track, you need to be very mindful of the situations and circumstances you allow yourself to be in. So the alcoholic and AA is a great example. They build that tribe of support, but they also really, really preach that you need to have a conversation with some of these people and say, look, this got away from me and I need to get it under control. And so I need your support for me getting sober. And that's I don't see that much of any different with this is the coach is kind of the tour guide, right? He's been here, done that. He's helped other people do it. And so your success rate goes through the roof when you hire a coach. And that coach is going to share with you the environment or the community of people that they've put together that are pulling the rope the same direction. So
Yeah.
yeah, if someone listening feels stuck, sick, burned out, drained, skeptical, what's something that you guys want them to know?
We got you.
Yeah.
Just like, I mean, but honestly, like sometimes the hardest part of anything is just the first step. Like, reach out. You reach out, you have a call, like we hear your pain points. Like we can help no matter where your finances are, develop like a plan to like, like no matter what, like it is our job to sit and to listen to what is going on with you and to help develop a plan. And however that plan has to work for you, will get you there. So if you feel tired or defeated, sometimes it's like the first step is just reaching out.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
Well, yeah, because people always go through the last thing I paid for, man, it just, it's still sitting in the basement collecting dust. Or the last thing I did, it didn't do any. And this is not that. This is if we want to understand where you want to go, what's holding you back, what's the most effective way there, the key to that is understanding your biology. You're not buying some program, you're buying into the information to learn about yourself. That's what you're buying into.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I have to do this, Parks. I'm sorry. I have to be my melodramatic self here for just a second, and everybody's going to listen. So,
Do it.
and this is, and guys, there's a big point for this, especially with the first episode. Everybody on the call, I'm sure, have heard this or at least a version of it. But right, there's that little kid walking down the beach, and there's all the starfish. Right, everyone's heard that. Right, Jim's laughing. This is a different take on this story because everybody thinks it's a good story. It's a terrible story. It
For
is a
anybody,
terrible story. It is a horrible story.
for anybody that doesn't know, tell the story.
Okay, so kid's walking down the beach, right? Grabs a starfish, throws it in the water. Walks a couple steps further, grabs a starfish, throws it in the water. Walks a couple further steps, grabs a starfish, throws it in the water. The old cynical old dude is on the sidewalk. He screams at the old kid, "What difference are you going to make?" Right? What difference are you making? Kid grabs another starfish, throws it in the water, and he says, "I made a difference for that one." Everybody's like, "Man, that is a terrible story. What should that kid have been doing?" The kid should have said, "Let's save them all." he should have went recruiting. He literally could have said, I'm going to go to the coffee shop. I'm going to go to the little whatever. I'm going to go to the surf bar. I'm going to go to wherever and say, hey, everybody stop what you're doing. Let's go clear all these starfish off the beach. Because what he was literally saying was, I saved that one, but the hell with the rest of them. You know, he literally said, let the other ones die. So I just ruined a good story for you guys. But that's exactly what happened. He literally was saying, well, the other ones don't matter. Let them die. And then he probably went home feeling good about the one, which again, if you want to do right, it's what coaches are saying is, well, I help. When you're a coach, and I'm talking to coaches, if you've got 20, 30, 40, 50 clients, what are you saying to the rest of America? The hell with you. I got enough. Right? We got into the recruiting business because we want to clear the beach. We want to save them all. I mean, no, it's not the hell with the rest of them. Let them die. It's let's go help them. We can't do it alone. So we're going to go into the recruiting business. You know, we have to go get more so that we can save them all.
Right. Yeah. I like it. What does the power of X represent to you guys and unlocking people's X factor?
It helps people be different. You know, in a world where everybody wants to fit in and follow and be just like everyone else, it helps people find out what's unique about them and find a way to stand out, right? Don't fit in, stand out. You know, what is it? Go after the goals that you want to have. Find what makes you tick, get into the environment, find the biology, find the tools that you're missing, because everybody has this idea in their head of what's going to make them different, what they want to do. If all the strings weren't attached to them and the chains that we put on ourselves, if all those were unlocked and we can go do what we wanted to do, again, what is holding you back from doing it? Dive in and leave the realm of being normal. Stop trying to fit in.
You have one life to live. Why not have it be the healthiest life and feel good and accomplish many things and meet a really cool group along the way? Every successful person typically has a coach, right? Because trial and error, um, you keep getting stuck and then many people give up. So, right now, like the power of X is your life can look so different in 1 year, and that can look different in a positive way or in a
Yep.
negative way. But the power of X, like, you're going to be surrounded. You're not only going to have a clear cut program for your DNA, you're going to have a coach who's going to help make sure to hold you accountable and to get you there. And then you're going to also be a part of an amazing community that's going to, your vibe attracts your tribe, right? So, the power of X is there's going to be, life is a journey, but with all the tools and surrounded by the right people, it could be a great journey, and you're going to become healthy along the way, and there's nothing bad about that.
Yeah.
I think,
Send us off.
yeah, the power of X speaks to me on so many different levels. It speaks to me on an individual level of maybe maximizing that Superman superpower, but it also speaks to me on figuring out maybe the one thing that's been holding somebody back. And so it isn't always improvement on this, or it maybe is stopping this. And so that in a granular level, in the bigger level, the power of X, it reminds me of I read a while back. I think we use, something like 10 or 15% of our capacity, our brain, right? And it just makes me think, gosh, think about what people could do and how healthy people could be if they figured out some of these things. And so along the way, I'm excited to be just a small part of that. And that impact is really what drives me.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. And for everybody listening, please like, share, follow the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, subscribe to us on YouTube, and keep listening. keep learning and just continue to keep hustling. So thank you guys. And if there's nothing else, then we will catch you guys next week.
Thanks, Parks.
Thank
Talk to you
you.
soon.